Millions of people around the world are taking advantage of the home sharing economy offered by sites like Airbnb.com and VRBO.com. Today, we're going to talk just a little bit about Airbnb to help you decide if it's really right for you. So stay tuned. Welcome to the Airbnb Lifestyle Podcast, a show about renting your spare bedroom or entire house on Airbnb. We're your hosts, Joseph and Izzy. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and relax while we teach you how to live the Airbnb lifestyle. We're going to teach you how to live. We're going to teach you how to live the Airbnb lifestyle. We're going to teach you how to live. We're going to teach you how to live. We're going to teach you how to live the Airbnb lifestyle. That was good. That was good. Whew. Welcome to the Airbnb Lifestyle Podcast number 5. I'm Joseph, your Washington, D.C. Airbnb SuperHost. You can view our Airbnb listing by visiting TheAirbnbLifestyle.com, and you could also find us on YouTube at the Airbnb Lifestyle. So today, I'm going to talk about the importance of having your own website in conjunction with your Airbnb listing. But before I get into that, I'd like to share with you my reasons of why I have my own personal website for my Airbnb. Now, Airbnb, the company, doesn't say you can or you can't have a website. I guess they just really don't care, but they just do not want you advertising your website on your Airbnb listing and sending traffic elsewhere. So keep that in mind. But with websites costing so little these days and so many, and quite a few of them actually being free, there is absolutely no reason why you, the savvy host, and I know you're savvy because you're listening to this podcast right now, there's no reason why you shouldn't take advantage of the benefits that come from having a website, which can only complement your Airbnb. So when you break it down to the basics, as Airbnb hosts, including myself, we are small business owners selling a product. And your product, which is your individual apartment or room or whatever, is marketed via the Airbnb platform to business and vacation travelers. And if good fortune is on your side, and I know it always is because you draw good fortune to you based on what you think and what you speak, no question about it, you will end up booking a rental, which should be your ultimate goal, to keep your Airbnb occupied with good quality short-term renters who are provided by you, by us, who are provided a clean, comfortable, stylish, and relaxing apartment home at a great rate. And then you and we just need to do a little more than what the guest expected. Whether it's buying a big bouquet of gorgeous bright flowers in a vase, just waiting for the guest to discover when they walk through the door. Man, could you imagine what an impact that makes? How would you feel? You just got off the plane, you're stuck 30 minutes in traffic, you finally get to the Airbnb, you finally meet me in the driveway, because that's where I'm going to be to welcome you. And you walk into the apartment, you walk into the bedroom, and just a big, beautiful vase of flowers just there to welcome you. Now, I've only done that for a couple of special guests. Just be willing to give a little more of yourself than you are usually comfortable with. If you want to succeed in anything in your life, use those words. Just be willing to give a little more of yourself, just a little more than you're usually comfortable with, and approach it with a pure heart, and approach it with love, and approach it with kindness. And when these guests show up at your door, I always tell them, and I look them dead in the eye and I say, hey, while you're here, this is your home. Anything that's here is yours. Anything that's here you can use. Don't worry about noise. Don't worry about whatever. Just enjoy this space that my wife and I have created. And I tell them we created this space so that you, the guest, could enjoy it. Just enjoy the time that you're here. So anyways, that was a little bit off subject. So today I want to dive just a little bit deeper into how the additional things you do as a host to promote your Airbnb business will directly affect your success and occupancy rates. My goal, your ultimate goal as an Airbnb host should be to utilize all the resources available to keep your Airbnb fully rented and generating as much financial blessing as possible. Now, I'm going to do something I haven't done before in any of my podcasts. You might know that I spent a lifetime career in the military, and my last assignment was as a military recruiter. And I really learned a lot about business being a military recruiter and just being in the military in general. There's a lot of qualities that I utilize in my Airbnb business that I learned from the military. So, a lot of the marketing lessons I learned helped me to be a successful recruiter. Those lessons fully apply to the Airbnb lifestyle. I was a very successful recruiter because I learned early in my career the value of marketing yourself correctly and making a connection with the customer early on. So most recruiters, regardless of, whether they're Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marine, operate on a single plane function, or they have a singular goal, which is recruit more people. And that's it. They do what recruiting command tells them to do by the numbers without deviation. I mean, there is a little creativity allowed for the recruiter, but everything has to be approved and so on and so forth. So you're given a formula by the military, which basically you knock your head up against the wall as many times as possible. And then you end up, if you're lucky, finding an enlistment or two. And if you're lucky, you make mission or you make your quota that month. But then the very next month, you're back to zero and you're knocking your head up against that wall trying to find people who will join the military. I needed to do something different. I needed to market myself correctly. I needed to be creative. And so do you. Okay, the question is, what are your talents right now? What can you do right now to help grow your Airbnb business? What is it that you're special at? I know a little bit about broadcasting. I know a little bit about computers. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. But when I was recruiting, I had to enlist 2 new applicants per month. And I knew that if I visited X number of schools and colleges, and I made X number of telephone calls in the evening, and I had X number of office and home appointments, that I would eventually, through the law of averages, create the momentum necessary to find those qualified applicants who tested well and would sign on the dotted line. And I'm very fortunate that the problem I saw early on was that most recruiters put in terribly long hours. We worked most weekends. Most generally hated the grind of recruiting and were still only able to generate, the minimum 2 enlistments. And after all that work, after all that frustration, after all of that wasted time chasing your tail, some other recruiters only put in 1. This is a constant cycle within the military recruiting world. Work as hard as you can, for as long as you can, for minimal results. So one day I made a decision. I was going to do things differently. I was going to think out of the box. Prior to recruiting and being in the military, I'd always been involved in some sort of sales type career. One of the best training periods in my entire adult life, in my entire adult career life, was when I worked in the short-term hotel industry for about 10 years. Oakwood, as a matter of fact. I think it's called Oakwood Worldwide now. Fantastic group of people. They truly go above and beyond for the guest. I was fortunate enough to work under some of the most experienced customer-focused professionals in the industry. So in my podcasts, I try to share many of the life lessons that made me successful as a recruiter and in the hospitality industry, in the hopes that you, the listener, will take just a little bit of it and use it to your advantage. So back to my story. So realizing that I only had 24 hours in a day, just like everybody else, I decided that the most important focus should be on creating a mechanism where my client could actually meet me before actually meeting me in person. What I mean is, Over the course of 3 years, I created almost 300 videos covering most military topics that would be of some interest to anybody thinking about joining the military. Most of my videos had titles like the top 10 things you need to know before reporting to boot camp, or another title might have been questions you should ask your recruiter at your first meeting. And though all of the videos I produced had tons of value for the person watching, I designed them primarily as a medium to have the customer see my face, hear my voice, learn a little more about me, and create, I guess you can say, even a minimal relationship just kind of based on familiarity. So by the time someone watched a few of my videos, which always ended with me sharing my telephone number and contact information, if they decided to call a recruiter, I had a pretty good likelihood that they'd call me because they already felt like they knew me. I simply got creative. I put forth some good, positive effort, and most importantly, I believed in my heart and mind that my efforts would result in more enlistments that I knew what to do with. I typically enlisted 4 and 5 applicants per month when most recruiters were struggling to put in just 2 on a regular basis. So just do things differently. A very intelligent man once said, if you continue to do the things you've always done, you'll continue to get the things you've always gotten. If you can do things differently than most Airbnb hosts, if you think out of the box, you will be successful. I can't count how many times as a recruiter I went to a home appointment and was told how they had already watched tons of my videos and felt like I was someone they already knew. Now, I'm not saying to make videos about Airbnb. I mean, if you can, great, but that's a whole lot of effort. Trust me. I'm trying to get that rolling as well. But for me right now, the podcasts work because nobody can see what I'm wearing, flip-flops, boxers, and a t-shirt. But it's wonderful. It's relaxing. The cool thing is, what's happened a couple of times is a few of my guests have actually become my subscribers to my podcast during their stay. You know, you can get a free website from sites like Weebly. I know is one of them. I've used Weebly. I've not used Wix, but I think I love Weebly. Weebly's awesome. But there's also literally tons of free website providers where you can get a nice web presence for nothing. I mean, for zero. You might have ads on your website, but you can still have a really stunning website for free to complement your Airbnb listing. And it doesn't have to be anything really super intricate or lengthy either. I think a good starting point is to just simply give a short bio of who you are, maybe on your main page. Tell them maybe why you got involved with Airbnb. Share with them some of the things that make you as a person unique. Tell them a little bit about your hobbies. Maybe you like dogs. If you do, include a picture of your dog. If he's a good-looking dog. If he's kind of an ugly dog, maybe not. Just kidding. You know, with my website, TheAirbnbLifestyle.com, I share pics of my apartment that can't be found on the Airbnb listing. But I think one of the most powerful areas of my website is the About Me page. There's a big smiling picture of my wife and I, and we just share a little bit about us, nothing extravagant. And the whole thing took us maybe a little over an hour. If you do decide to go the website route, don't forget to have a direct link. Very important. Very, very important. If you do decide to go the website route, don't forget to have a direct link from your website to your Airbnb listing page where your visitors can see your apartment. And most importantly, they can have the opportunity to book your place. I have had guests who booked my Airbnb because they found my website first, but typically that doesn't happen when you build a new website because it's not going to get too much attention, early on. So until it does, you can still use a website by directing your guests to it via, verbally or on a business card or, just some way. Just get them exposed to your website. It's powerful. It's important. It can really help your Airbnb business to grow. So I always include a business card in my guest welcome basket, which has my telephone number and website address on it. So, oh yes, if you haven't done so already, get yourself some business cards. Very, very important. We'll talk about that another time, but that's super important. Doesn't have to be as well anything extravagant. Name, a picture of you or the apartment. And if you have a website, put your website on there, but just give them your telephone number so they can have it close at hand. If they need anything, they have the number there. but they're going to take that business card with them and they're going to hold on to it. They may have to come back to, in my case, the Washington, D.C. area next summer. They have my business card with my website, my face, and my telephone number on. And they also have in their memory how much of a fantastic time they had by staying in my Airbnb. And now they have to come back. Who do you think they're going to stay with? You got it. Yes. And once again, when they stay with me, they're going to have a fantastic time. And I'm going to give the customer, I'm going to give the client more than they expected. I'm going to go out of my way to ensure that their stay in my Airbnb is going to be a memorable one. And those wonderful memories will last a lifetime. Keep listening. You're definitely on the right path. If you liked anything you heard today, please subscribe to my channel. You can always visit my webpage at TheAirbnbLifestyle.com. And you could find us on YouTube by searching The Airbnb Lifestyle. I'm Joseph, your Washington, D.C. Airbnb SuperHost. Stay loyal to your guests, practice gratitude daily, and above all, stay karmic. And I'll see you at check-in.